Thursday's Just Baseball show comes on August 29th because that's the date on Thursday. It's Jack
Correct.
and Peter. We got to talk about the pitching side of guys that might have been a little disappointing, sort of, kind of in the first half that have really ramped it up post All-Star break. It's all brought to us by
BetMGM, the king of sports books. Remember, folks, download BetMGM, whether it be on iOS or Android, and use promo code JUSTBASEBALL. You get a first bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. So when you place a wager after downloading BetMGM, after using the promo code, if it loses, you'll get whatever you put down up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. And if you win, congratulations, you won a bet. The freaking San Francisco Giants in the last 5 days, I had them against the Mariners as a plus 130 underdog. Tyler Rogers comes in. He's always fantastic. 6 straight hits, 4 runs, blows a lead. I lose that bet. 5 days later, I take the Brewers against the Giants. This time, Joel Payamps comes in, going for his 12th straight scoreless appearance, gives up a 2-run home run to Mike Yastrzemski. And the Giants end up coming back and winning. So, gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older. Terms and conditions apply. And the thing is, I called the number and they told me that the Brewers were a lock, Jack. No, that's not true. I'm making a joke.
True.
Genuinely so. 1-800-GAMBLER. If you have a gambling problem, must be 21 or older. Terms and conditions apply.
You are wearing a fun t-shirt. I'm wearing an Indianapolis Indians t-shirt because we've got a doubleheader tonight, Bubba Chandler, and then you got Rhett Lauder tomorrow. So today, Thursday night, Lauder against Thomas Harrington, which is going to be awesome. But you're wearing a Toledo Mudhens shirt, man.
So you and Arm are obviously very good on prospects, so I can look like I know about prospects. So
For
the
sure.
Toledo Mudhens, the AAA affiliate for the Tigers, it's always been in my rotation just so I can fit in. It's like a fit-in thing.
Totally fair. It's also like kind of a good way to just support minor league baseball by getting merch like that. I ordered an Albuquerque Isotopes thing as soon as Zach Veen debuted and hit his home run in his first for his first hit in AAA. So that was huge for me. So I'm going to be rocking some Topes gear here in a matter of moments. But the
Topes
Toledo
gear.
Mudhens, I said, what?
Topes gear. I
Yeah,
just
the
think
Topes.
the minor league team names are unbelievably awesome. I mean, the
Yeah.
Isotopes.
The Isotopes, the Mudhens, dude.
Yeah, same thing.
So you're wearing a Mudhens shirt, and I know that our video extraordinaire Peyton asked about the minor league home run leader. Like last week, I want to say it was, hey, does so and so have a shot at the minor league home run crown? It's like, you clearly don't know who Mike Hessman is, do you? And Christian Crespo does some great prospect stuff for us. Said Toledo Mudhens legend. Mike Hessman, let me tell you about this cat. He is the hitting coach with Toledo right now. Understandably so, because Mike Hessman, 46 years old, made his way through 19 seasons of minor league baseball. This guy got 109 big league games under his belt. But Mike Hessman had over 2,000 games played and 433 minor league home runs. They call the left field wall in Toledo the Hessman home run porch. This guy was in Toledo in parts of 2005, 06, 07, 08, 09, 14, and 15. And he was hitting 25, 30 homers every year with the Mudhens.
Why doesn't a guy like that get an opportunity? I mean, you work in AAA. You've seen guys come in and out. You've been calling games through every level at this point. What gives is my great journalistic question. What gives? Why would that guy not get at least one opportunity in September at any point? 19 seasons? Did he ever make his debut?
Yeah, no, he played 109 big league games, but he was a career. Yeah. So he was a career 188 hitter in the big leagues.
Okay.
250 plate appearances. Now, in 250 plate appearances, he had 14 jacks, but like that's really all he did, essentially.
I was confused. I thought there was a secret power hitter just sticking in the minors that people forgot to call up.
I think he spent a year in Japan too. He was in Oryx Buffalo in Japan for a year and change, I want to say. But yeah, like he's not a secret power hitter. It was just, one of those guys that was a very good AAA home run hitter that it just never really clicked at the big league level. So he became the all-time great at AAA baseball, and 433 homers is the minor league home run record. So I don't think anybody's sniffing that in
Who's
due
second?
time.
Do you know? Do you know
I have
who's
no idea.
potentially second? Yeah.
No idea.
Because I
All I
wonder
know
if
is
they
Mike Hessman's the GOAT.
a Toledo Mud Hens guy.
Mudhen. You got to talk about a former Indianapolis Indian that's patrolling center field for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah. So before we press the record button, just to peel back the curtain a little bit, Jack and I are talking about what we should talk about before we get to our big segment, which again, I have 5 pitchers in the American League. He has 5 pitchers in the National League. We're going to talk about great second halves after poor first halves. And I'm watching this Pirates Cubs game with Skeens on the mound against Hendricks, and Hendricks is just getting destroyed. But that's not the point. The point is I'm watching Oneil Cruz in center field. And this is one of those takes where I have no statistical evidence to back it up, and I don't even know if it's going to work out. But he looks sick in center field. I'm just going to dumb it down to just a fascinated baseball fan, the kid in me, watching this 6'7" athlete glide around in center field, and he unveiled a hose to home to try and nab a runner. Now, he was safe, but again, I like the look of it. Now, this take will develop as we see more of Oneil Cruz in center field, but I just wanted to put everybody on the forefront. If you're not doing anything, go watch Oneil Cruz play center field for a little bit. I'm telling you, it's freaking awesome. He just looks out of place, but at the same time, the most ideal center fielder all in one. If that, it again, it makes no sense. That's why it's my first time really watching him in center, trying to develop some sort of opinion. But beyond is center field acumen, whatever you want to call it so far. This guy post All-Star break, if we're talking about great second halves, is looking a lot like the Oneil Cruz that we thought he could be. First half, 246, 299, 438 slash line for a 737 OPS. That's why I was always upset with him. There's so much swing and miss. He doesn't look like he has an approach at the plate. He's not this entertaining guy that I thought he would become. I say entertaining when I really mean talent, just watching pure talent on display. But in the second half, he's slashing 333, 396, 558 slugging percentage for a 954 OPS. He's still hitting the living piss out of the ball. And this is why we have to keep believing in him. He's in the 97th percentile of barrel rate, 99th percentile of average exit velocity, 98th percentile of hard hit rate, 100th percentile of bat speed. I mean, this guy clearly hits dingers. He had an Oppo rocket off Hendricks that went 113 for a double. So we know the power is there, but he's clearly so fast, and he's been stealing a lot more bases in the second half. Remember, he's only got 129 ABs. This is since July 17th. The guy's stolen 11 bases. He only had 7 stolen bases the entire first half. So if we're continuing to tap into power, we're also walking more. Now, the Ks, the whiffs, they're probably always going to be there for Oneil Cruz. It's a lot of long levers. He's a free swinger. That's just what you're going to get. You're going to get the same thing from Elly De La Cruz as well. But better plate discipline. He's walking more. He's more active on the base paths. He's been hitting the ball consistently harder and more in the air. This version of Oneil Cruz in the second half, now moving into center field, is incredibly exciting.
I wonder if he's going to focus a little bit more on offensive improvement now that he's in center, because less of his time is taken up. Now, he does need to allocate a lot of his time to learning center field. There's no doubt about that. So you take your fly balls, you do all that. But I wonder if some of the subconscious stress in game goes away and he can prioritize offense a little bit more in game without being at shortstop. You know what I mean? Like, part of me is thinking, oh, I'm bad. I'm labeled as bad at this position. I need to overcompensate and try almost too hard to get good at shortstop. Now they're putting me in a spot that he may not want to be in, to be honest. I remember he got some looks in left when he was in AAA, and he clearly was disinterested in being out there.
He said, I am a shortstop. Point
Yeah.
blank, period.
Yeah. And that's effectively not his decision right now. He's going to play center field. He's the center fielder for the Pirates because if he demands that he's a shortstop, guess what? Like, he doesn't put himself on the lineup card. It's brutal. Like, sometimes you have to do what the manager says. Until you're making about $300 million in total value on a contract, you have to do what the manager says. And this guy that is pre-arb, unfortunately, has to do what the manager says. And he's going to be in center field. That throw on the RBI single from PCA, I mean, that was a one-hop dart. It was really close. And Grandal just didn't take it in cleanly on the short hop. But, dude, that throw looked I'm with you, not natural, but like
sick.
it belongs out there. Yeah, it's baby giraffe-esque, where it's like you're going to be a tall giraffe at some point.
It gave me a similar reaction to watching Aaron Judge play center field for the Yankees, right? You just have this 6'7" behemoth man in a spot where we're also
prototypical. Yeah.
And then in that same game, like PCA is in center. Like, it's just a completely different look. And then I'm watching him run out there, and it's so smooth, and he's just so graceful. And then that throw. And then these offensive improvements. Yeah. I mean, players like this get me so excited because they're guys that we haven't seen. We don't see 6'7" outfielders who can throw the ball 105 miles an hour.
He might be able to level up from that. Aram and I were talking about that. Brenton Doyle was 106 on a crow hop.
Yeah.
Oneil Cruz was flirting with triple digits across the diamond. Why can't he throw a ball 107 on a crow hop?
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is a player who I am going to be turning on Pirates games without Skeens and just watching him play center field because I think it's wildly fascinating because I want to see if it works. And I'm dumb enough to say that it's going to work, even though I've seen one game and one throw. I'm willing to be an idiot, which I already am, so might as well lean into it.
Life is literally all about first impressions, and he made an excellent first impression on that throw from center.
He didn't even get him either.
I know. Like, it wasn't like an outfield assist. It was just close enough to be like, I'm in on this moving forward.
Remember what we talk about with the reactions? It gave me the,
you're like that.
I'm just saying that reaction doesn't come all the time. And it did here. So how do I quantify that? I'm not sure yet. I'll get back to you. But what I am saying is turn it on for yourself and tell me you don't have the same visceral reaction where you go, oh.
I need to see a ball back and to his right. So in the left center near that triangle, that deep part of PNC, I need to see how he maneuvers that.
But I also want him to not get a great jump and overcompensate with his 10-foot wingspan and just snatch it.
You and I are on totally opposite wavelengths. The way that I'm going to measure success is the jump, is the first step. I'm like, if you have a shit first step, I'm really concerned.
No, because you aren't understanding where I'm coming from. I want him.
I do. No, I understand this. You know what this is? This is an outfielder purposefully delaying to make a diving catch.
I want his athleticism to outdo his deficiencies live.
Yeah.
Because it looks cooler.
That's kind of what he's done the first 2.5 years of his major league career.
But now he's hitting and stealing bases, so I'm in.
Okay, fair.
Okay, fair.
You want to talk pitchers?
Yeah, we got a lot of them. So this is part 2. If you missed the hitters episode, first of all, what are you doing? Second of all, that episode we did yesterday, Aram and I, 5 hitters in the National League, 5 hitters in the American League, identifying bad first halves, flipping the switch into the second half. Don't forget about these guys and consider buying stock next year if we see these changes continue throughout the rest of the second half. So I know you have 5 National League pitchers, 4 starters, 1 reliever. I have the same for the American League. You want me to go ahead and start, or you want to start?
You start, baby.
Okay, so we'll start at the top. And I'm going to start it with Jack. You were right. You were just delayed. Hunter Brown of the Houston Astros had a 4.39 ERA in the first half. He was throwing the ball middle. It was a lot of four-seam fastballs. It wasn't working, especially to right-handed bats, which I'll talk about in a second. In the second half, 2.14 ERA, which is the second best in the American League, to Brian Wu. I was actually going to include Brian Wu in this exercise because he has a 1.65 ERA for the Mariners. But he had like a 2.4. He's just been so good whenever he starts. Now, it's not so often because he's been banged up this year, but he has been lately, and he's awesome. But this isn't about him. It's about Hunter Brown, who also has a 2.60 fielding independent pitching, his FIP, which is second best in the American League behind his teammate, Framber Valdez. So what's been happening? Well, we've talked about it before, and this is information from Lance Brosdowski, who we've talked about ad nauseum. He's the man, friend of the program, works MLB Network, Watch Marquee, tons of stuff. So good at identifying how pitchers have made changes. And this has continued. So he was throwing a lot of four-seamers to right-handed pitchers, and it was, or right-handed hitters, excuse me, and it wasn't working. But now, in the second half, and I've been watching this, and Lance was totally right. Sinker in on righties, cutter away. So they're working both off of each other. And his best off-speed pitch, Hunter Brown, is the changeup, but he throws it primarily to lefties. That's why he has reverse splits. He's really good against lefties, but his secondaries to righties are the knuckle curve and the sliders, which just don't cut it compared to his changeup. So his fastball and his below-average secondaries, that's why he was getting hit by righties. What has he changed? Sinker, cutter, and those are working really well off the secondary. So they're still fine enough for him to be dominant because he is dominant against left-handed hitters. So overall, this is a very, very good change from Hunter Brown, and it's really fun to watch how it matures next year. Is he doing away with any of these knuckle curves or sliders? Is he be able to throw more changeups to righties now? Is the sinker and the cutter more developed next year? These are all steady improvements that have made Hunter Brown the second best pitcher in the American League in the second half.
Yeah, man. I mean, it has been so much fun to watch this turnaround. What sucks is it came literally a week after I decided I was out. I was like, yeah, I was wrong. I waved the white flag, and then he just turns it on. I'm like, oh, there you are, man. Nice of you to finally freaking show up. I love watching Hunter Brown work because the tilt, the athleticism on the mound is utterly insane to watch in real time. It's a similar sensation, and I tried to get you and Aram to see it, and I literally like put the side-by-side video last year. It's essentially a righty McClanahan delivery. I know that Hunter Brown modeled his delivery after Verlander. I know that there's a lot of Verlander in there. But the thing that I think makes him so successful, especially with that breaking ball, is the tilt, like the McClanahan type tilt that he gets. And McClanahan, so much of what he does, like obviously he extends on the mound like very few people. He's pretty much like shoving towards the front of the mound by the time that he releases. Yeah, McClanahan jumps. Brown doesn't necessarily jump, but he gets pretty damn close to it. And the fact that they rip their glove hand in, but they also are kind of ripping it down, creates that tight breaking ball and that sharp, like tumbling curveball that is so aesthetically pleasing, and I feel like damn near impossible to hit. And the fastball, like the fact that he's not leaving the fastball middle and he's executing the fastball and he's got all the other stuff working off of it, I think can make him not a top flight starter in Major League Baseball, but I think they have a borderline 2-3 guy sitting here. And you can run out Framber, Javier when he's healthy, and Hunter Brown, and you could say, hey, it's okay that Verlander's 42 years old now. You know, we don't need to do that again. We can give him opportunities on longer rest if Verlander does just want to keep doing the 1-year deal thing until he calls it quits with Houston. I think that they have two mid to frontline guys. I think Framber's a frontline guy. I think Hunter Brown has shown that he is a mid to frontline guy.
And you're talking about 2025. Let's just look at their current playoff rotation because we're going to be in it in a few weeks.
No, it's legit, man.
Framber, Verlander, Brown, Kikuchi, and with the emergence of Spencer Arrighetti, now he pitches today against the Phillies.
He's not
could get destroyed. Oh, don't poo-poo him right now.
No,
he's coming off an elite.
He's not making that postseason rotation.
I don't know. All I'm saying is that they have 5 arms that you can now rely on in a postseason rotation, in my opinion. I think now, I got to see more from Arrighetti, but he is coming off that great start against Baltimore, and he has been one of those guys where it's either really, really bad or really, really good, and it's been mostly really, really good lately. His breaking balls are really good. Like, he's someone to watch. But overall, this Astros playoff rotation was in the first half. All right, we're looking at a struggling Framber. Hunter Brown cannot stop getting destroyed. Verlander's not healthy. Javier's done. Luis Garcia's done. Who do we have? Now, the inevitable Astros are back. Verlander and Framber and Hunter Brown and Kikuchi and now Eric Eddy. So it's nasty. And also, I just want to say before we continue to move on to new pitchers, some guys, and I'm sure you have them, it's not big adjustments. Like, I just broke down adjustments that Hunter Brown has made, which have improved his second half. Some guys are just letting it eat. Some guys, it's just a matter of fact of regression right to the mean. Let's say they put up a 5 ERA in the first half, but they had a 3.5 expected. They're just pitching better now. But Hunter Brown, I think, was a great example of someone who was struggling in the first half, made adjustments, a pitch usage tweak, and that has helped propel him into a great second half. Not all of these guys are going to share that.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I am going to share the other guy that I think has made a tangible adjustment. And again, a huge shout out to Lance Notes, because I subscribe to the emails too. Lance, you do a kick-ass job. My first guy is Spencer Schwellenbach.
Yeah.
And it was literally in your inbox this morning. Spencer Schwellenbach has improved the slider command so much in the second half. Post All-Star break, I mean, he is dotting it. Lower outside corner, right on right, when he was kind of sort of spraying it in the first half. But the exact numbers on Spencer Schwellenbach in Atlanta, first 8 career starts, he had a 4.43 ERA. Those came pre-All-Star break. 44 and 2/3, 41 Ks, 10 walks. 7 starts post All-Star break to this point. Schwellenbach has a 2.98 ERA. In 42 and a third, he's punched out 61. So how about that? You've got 2 and a third fewer innings to work with in the second half than the first half for him. But he's got 20 more punch outs and 2 fewer walks. It's because he's dominating with that slider, man. And I'm not sure if you read this right up from Lance, but it was essentially like working in the lower-ish area of the strike zone in his first 8 starts, and now he's putting it at will, low and away, low and away, low and away to righties, and they're just not working with it well at all.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking over the past couple of days when we've, been talking about, the Braves is, damn, I want last year's offense with this pitching staff. Because last year's pitching staff was, of course, you have Spencer Strider, who's, they're missing Strider, which is an enormous loss. But they didn't have Chris Sale last year, and who's probably going to win the Cy Young. So you can call that probably a wash.
Yeah,
Maybe Sale's better.
No, sure.
Maybe Strider. I don't know. But they're both really, really awesome, and they're both at the top of the rotation. We'll call it a wash just to get through the exercise. Max Fried is still Max Fried. And then you have Reynaldo Lopez instead of Charlie Morton. And then you also put in Spencer Schwellenbach. And if I'm watching Braves baseball right now, I have full confidence in Sale at every single moment, all the time. But there is that birdie in the back of my head being like, Peter, remember he's 35. So there is still that right there. With Fried, he hasn't looked quite as dominant as he normally does.
Fried's been downright shaky. No, like no need to sugarcoat it. He's been shaky.
He's been a little bit shaky. But the reason I'm beating around the bush there is because I still fully believe in him. I still think he's great.
Yeah,
he's
he has built the capital to be looked at as Max Fried instead of a shaky starting pitcher right now.
And then Reynaldo Lopez, the converted reliever.
Yeah.
Underlying metrics don't look great, but he keeps shoving. But based on the numbers, regression may be looming. I don't know. He's been fantastic regardless. And then you got Schwellenbach. And what's my fear here? What is it? Young? Inexperienced? He's 24 years old, and the underlying metrics tell me he's going to get even better because he has a 28.7% strikeout rate, which is in the 88th percentile. He's got a 3.04 expected ERA. He doesn't allow hard contact. His walk rate is incredibly low for a guy that young just coming up. 91st percentile. He's only walking 5% of batters. I'm not saying he's the best pitcher on the team. Chris Sale is better. Max Fried is more established, and Reynaldo Lopez is a beast. I'm just saying that when I look at the landscape of 4 starters in the league, I'll take Schwellenbach against just about anybody except Seattle. I'll take
Yeah.
Rule. But
Or Bryce Miller. I mean,
or Bryce Miller. But
Miller's been awesome.
Miller has been so good. But pure talent, I might take Schwellenbach over Miller. I don't know.
I'm going
But
to
I'm
take
just
the two
saying,
Seattle guys.
I think it's because I'm just watching Schwellenbach fill it up with 98
Fair.
mile-an-hour sinkers.
Yeah.
99. Like, he throws
Which, like,
gas on top of.
nobody was expecting that.
That's what I'm saying. It's electric.
It is. And I'm thinking about a 2025 rotation of Strider, Sale, Schwellenbach, Reynaldo Lopez, AJ Smith-Shawver.
I got to see more out of Smith-Shawver, but I mean, as your 5, yeah,
That's
take
awesome.
that every day of the week.
That's awesome.
That's
There's
really
no
good.
need to pony up and pay Fried.
Yeah, I don't think there's really a need
They
either.
won't. Like, I don't think they will. I feel very strongly about that.
Yeah.
Fried is going to be pitching elsewhere next year, but if you run out co-aces and Strider and Sale, I mean, dude.
And then if this is real, I think Schwellenbach is real. I'm just coming out and saying it. I think
Yeah,
this is
so
real.
then you got a front four. Like, the postseason rotation's already set on opening day.
But I guess the main reason I wanted to bring this point, then I'll get into my next guy, is like, I shouldn't have more faith in Schwellenbach than Lopez. Like, I shouldn't. And that's probably a bad take. But what, am I not going to say what I feel? Is it based on a ton of stats? I don't know. But
so important to say what you feel.
Schwellenbach's expected ERA is a run lower than Lopez's. I'm just saying, like, and it's more not detriment to Lopez. It's a testament to Schwellenbach. This guy's so real. I love Schwellenbach. Gotcha. All right, let's move on to second guy. Obvious one who we've talked about in the past. Pablo Lopez. Thank the good Lord that you're not terrible, because Pablo Lopez had a 5.11 ERA in the second half. And I'm thinking to myself,
First
what?
half. No.
Excuse me, the first half. 5.11 ERA in the first half. A 5 ERA for Pablo Lopez? Without injuries really being a reason? What the hell is going on with you? And we broke it down, remember? Fastball location. It was so middle. Everything was middle. And when he'd get behind in the count, he'd overcompensate. And his off speed, his sliders, his breaking balls, everything was middle. Now, 2.25 ERA in the second half, which is the 4th best in the American League among all pitchers in the American League. I'm not speaking very well right now just because I'm excited. But it's been much better for Lopez. Change-up location has been huge because that's a pitch that has really worked for him in the past, that it's kind of died off a little bit. And if you look at the heat maps and you watch Pablo Lopez, a lot of middle change-ups that are just getting destroyed. That has not been middle anymore. The fastball has not been middle anymore. He has more faith, I think, in his stuff right now at the top of the zone, tunneling off it. Pablo Lopez is back to being the Pablo Lopez that we know. It's not the same Pablo Lopez that was getting destroyed in the first half.
Which is so important for the Minnesota Twins.
Yes.
But don't look now. Kansas City Royals, like, as we entered play on Wednesday, dude, they're sharing first with the Cleveland Guardians right now.
And
the
as we're
vibes
reporting, they're
unreal.
up 4-2 in the 6th inning.
Dude, I mean, look at these Kansas City Royals, man. I feel for the Twins. And again, I was so doomsday last week when I was just saying, yeah, you know, like, it's inevitable that everybody's hitting the shelf again. And, you know, you got guys already on the shelf.
I don't feel
Pablo
bad for the
Lopez.
Twins. I don't feel bad for the Twins, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Their one move at the deadline was getting Trevor Richards, and they just DFA'd him. You didn't go for it. You didn't properly go for it. You know who did? The Royals. The Guardians. They properly went for it. Now, it wasn't the huge deals.
Did the Guardians properly go for it?
They added more than Trevor Richards, who they just DFA'd.
Yeah, they added more than the Twins. That's an incredibly low bar to set.
I'm just saying.
The Royals, like, legit did something.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying I don't feel bad for the Twins for not filling needs that you needed to and just kind of keep going with the same guys. And you're seeing a little bit what's happening. They're still playing great baseball. It's just the Royals and the Guardians. Actually, the Guardians are not playing good baseball. The Royals are just overtaking everybody.
Yeah. I initially, last week, I really looked at the young trio of starting pitchers in that Twins rotation.
5-2 Royals, by the way.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I was looking at that young trio, and I was like, okay, Joe Ryan's hurt. Who's got to step up? And I looked at Simeon Woods Richardson, David Festa, and Zebby Matthews. when Bailey Ober has been throwing his balls off recently. Like, I hate to put it that simple, but he's been kicking tail. And
Except against the
Pablo Lopez
Braves.
has leveled
Got,
up,
got
except against
crushed
the
against the
Braves.
Braves. Yeah.
I know, but like
Yeah.
a
But
lot
you're
of
right.
people get crushed against good teams.
Yeah.
It's just a blip in the radar. More often than not, Bailey Ober has been really good over the last 2 months, 2.5 months. Pablo Lopez leveling up was the most important thing when Joe Ryan hit the shelf. It's like, yeah, okay, Simeon Woods Richardson gives you a couple good starts. Nice. David Festa, levels up in year one. Okay, nice. None of those guys are going to look like Pablo Lopez leveling up because Pablo Lopez leveling up is the guy that you extend, is the guy that, can be considered a clear cut one in Major League Baseball. Ace, I don't know, but borderline, and certainly a one in a rotation and a pretty good rotation. So I thought this was huge and frankly something that I wasn't expecting to this degree with Pablo Lopez post All-Star break.
I agree. I'm just glad to see it.
Yeah. We're going to get to the next guy here in a moment. Before that, quick break. My next guy is an absolute freaking layup. Who do you think it is when I say out west, National League?
Out West National League, is it Musgrove?
No, it's not Musgrove. Like Musgrove was a fair option, but Musgrove was non-existent in the first half.
True.
So I left Musgrove off because he didn't underperform in the first half. He was
Oh,
just
I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Blake
right.
Snell.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Blake Snell, 8 starts pre All-Star break, had a 6.31 ERA.
Yeah.
7 starts post All-Star break, he's got a 1.66. The number that I want to highlight with him, because he's walked more guys in the second half, batting average against. Like, this is how Blake Snell beats everybody. Batting average against in the first half, opponents hit 243. That may not sound egregious, but in the second half, opponents are hitting a $125. That's what he does, man. He can walk the world and still be a Cy Young winner because nobody gets base hits against Blake Snell when he's right.
Yeah.
We're talking about a guy with a no-hitter under his belt in the second half. And man, I don't know. I don't like watching it. I really don't. It's not the pitching that I was taught was good growing up, but it's productive as shit. And I in the very, very back of my mind, I understand why you give this guy $35 million a year because nobody touches him. The only guy beating Blake Snell is Blake Snell. And even when he's walking 4.5, 5 hitters per nine, he can throw to a sub-2 because nobody beats him. I will keep battering that into my brain because I don't believe it. And yet I watch it every 5th day, and it's insane.
When he's working at the top of the zone and he's able to throw it's like a slider curveball. It's an insane breaking ball for strikes.
But there are some starts where he spikes it 8 out of 10 times.
That's what I was going to say. So when Blake Snell is on, top of the zone 97, breaker in the dirt, but it's like one of the ones that he's intentionally putting in the dirt or he dots it at the lower part of the zone. Go home. The day is over. You're not going to hit him. If he's like that, game over. Now, when he can't command the breaking ball, I've even heard, dating back to his time with the Rays, the scouting report is don't swing because he's just going to bury his breaking ball in the dirt and he's going to have to overcompensate and go middle on a fastball, and then that's when you take advantage. And then he can be hittable because he has to force himself back into the strike zone or he's going to walk 11 guys in his start.
And he essentially turns into a one-pitch pitcher at that point.
So I feel like we're finding out about Blake Snell because this has been a pattern now the past couple of years. It's this like June to August, September swoon. He doesn't start off well. Even in his Cy Young year, the command is a little bit all over the place. He's forced to come back in the zone and he pitches fine because he's still great even when he has to do that. But then when he's on his shit, he's as good as any pitcher in Major League Baseball because you just can't time it up. It's too fast at the top of the zone. The hitters clearly can't see it because when he's blowing guys away at 97, the hitter's reaction looks like it's Aroldis Chapman at the top where it's 105. They're just getting blown out. Their doors are getting shot off the car. And then they're flailing at that breaking ball because it looks like the same pitch. But when they're taught to not swing, but he's got his command, then he just dots. and you still have no chance. That's why for me, I don't share the same dislike for watching him pitch, because for me, it's pure domination when he wants it to be, or
Yeah.
when he can make it, when he can throw strikes. And that's all it is. It's almost simple like that in my mind with him.
So can I also say the heat maps look as good as they possibly could
Oh, yeah.
when it comes to a pitch by pitch thing?
Bang, boom.
Yeah, you get the
For all
home
those
plate.
on YouTube, I'm just top, bottom.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what it is, dude. You look at the pitch arsenal. I mean, the four seamer is up and into righties, and it's there every single time.
every time. Oh, I
The
love Blake Snell
curveball,
when he's on.
the curveball, the heat on the heat map is a little bit more spread out than the super concentrated red up and into righties, but it is low and into righties. It's dropping below the zone. Like, is it in the strike zone? No, it's not.
Who cares?
The changeup has had a consistent landing spot, and the slider has had a consistent landing spot. But for me, it's that curveball, and like again, that's a huge red area that he's been throwing it. I like the top of that red area. I don't like the bottom of that red area, but he's been at the top of that red area the entire second half, and it has been very, very impressive.
We're going to stick in the Bay for my third, and this is no Blake Snell. This is no Pablo Lopez. There's a chance that nobody listening, unless you're an Oakland A's fan, has been watching him pitch.
Give me him.
Joey Estes.
Yeah, sure.
What are you leading in for right now?
No. Give me him. I was thinking Estes or Osvaldo Beto, and I thought both were going to be awesome answers.
Well, Osvaldo Beto has put together like 3 great starts with not much of an existent first half, but he has been great. But Joey Estes, 5.29 ERA in the first half. You probably expected that because you might have never heard of him.
Yeah.
2.84 ERA in the second half. 40 innings. Opponents are hitting under 250 against his 3 best pitches, which is the 4-seamer. He's got 2 variations of a slider. It's like a 81 mile an hour slider and the 78 mile an hour sweeper. It's more of a curveball, but whatever Savant calls it. Yeah. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm watching Joey Estes every game. So I don't know if it's big adjustments, like I'm more stat line scouting. And I didn't find a whole lot. And the underlying metrics don't really say that it's going to continue, because we're looking at FIPS in the mid 4s and XFIPS in the 5s. Like, I don't know if this is going to continue. But this isn't a 28-year-old journeyman. 33. It's a 22-year-old. He's 22, pitching for the A's right now, putting up a 2.84 ERA in the second half. It's fun. It's just someone to keep an eye on. Now, he only throws 92. It's not really electric, but the command's been pretty good. I need him to keep the ball on the ground, though. His ground ball rate is like 22%. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's really tough, and he's in the right ballpark for that for the next month. Then after that, you're not in that ballpark anymore. Like, there goes the advantage in Oakland.
Can he develop something where he's keeping the ball on the ground enough? That's what, and he's 22, right? The world is his oyster. He's got plenty of time to develop.
So the short answer and the simple answer is yes, he can develop something. The longer answer is this guy is a 4-seam sweeper guy.
Yeah.
That is leaving a lot of pitches upper half middle in the strike zone.
That's why I wanted to point out the command's been better.
Yeah, and he's essentially getting bailed out in a huge ballpark. Having said that, he is executing pretty well at the top of the zone. But when he tugs it down just a little bit, it feels like he's been getting bailed out a bit. I've seen some strenuous starts from him that result in a better line than you would expect if you sat down and watched, the entire breakdown of like what happened in each inning, right? You sit down and you watch the condensed game, or even you go to the ballpark, you watch a Joey Estes start. It's a little bit more stressful than I think his line post All-Star break would insinuate.
Agreed, because there's not many strikeouts there.
Having said that,
22.
he's only 22.
Yeah. So we aren't, I think it would be fair to harshly critique this if he was 28 and we saw that he was getting lucky.
For sure.
But I wanted to bring it up because he's 22. The world is his oyster. He can make adjustments. Can we keep the ball on the ground a little bit more? Is there more velo in there? He got a big body, and he's only 22. I'm
Yep.
just saying, keep an eye on him. For all
No
you,
doubt.
I don't know, I don't play Dynasty baseball, but like if he's a guy potentially, just watch. That's all I'm saying. I'm bringing him up because I want people to start paying attention to what's going on in Oakland.
See if you like it. Sample Joey Estes, right? You get the little wooden spoon of the mint chocolate chip and see if you like it, and then you actually get the single scoop and call it a day. You leave the ice cream store.
Because I know everybody's going to take my advice, just turning on Pirates games just to watch Oneil Cruz. But like after that's over,
Yeah, you're
A's are
telling
on the
people to
West
watch the
Coast.
Pirates and the A's right now.
Do it. I'm telling you. And if you don't like it, you could be mad at me, but I'm telling you, you might like it. You might. Well, you're going to love Oneil Cruz. You might
Yeah.
like Joey Estes.
I'll pitch you on a snake because the D-backs are a much easier watch than both those teams. Ryne Nelson has turned it on. And we've mentioned Ryne Nelson a couple times here. And you mentioned the vert, the 20 inches of vert. He comes from a bit higher of a release height than, you would typically classify 20 vert as like elite, but it's really freaking good from Ryne Nelson. Fastball rides and an 86 and 2/3 innings pre All-Star break. He was an innings eater, but he was an innings eater at a 4.98 ERA. Opponents were hitting 294 against him. 43 and a third post All-Star break. 210 opponents are hitting against him and a sub 3, a 291. So his ERA drops 2 runs. His batting average against drops about 85 points. He's doing it with the fastball, and it's been awesome. But it just seems like he's finding his footing in Major League Baseball now. And I was expecting him to find his footing last year. Didn't really happen. It's happening this year, and I love watching that unfold.
So I've watched an absurd amount of Ryne Nelson this year. And the reason I have is because he's been constantly in my betting rotation. And I've made a switch on Ryne Nelson because Ryne Nelson originally was fringe in this rotation. The stuff wasn't very good. The fastball wasn't as developed as it was now. Didn't have the same amount of induced vertical break on it. Didn't have the same velocity. Just looked more hittable. And he was really bad at Chase Field. And then there was a start a month or two ago, probably like 6 weeks ago, where I bet against him and I lost. And he dominated. And I look into the stats and I'm like, well, the spin's up. IVB's up. And I watched him and he looked much better. So I put that in my memory bank and then I start watching him a little bit and then I start betting on him. This guy's in the 100th percentile right now in IVB, according to Nick Pollock from Pitcher List. You know he's getting 20 inches on his fastball?
Yeah.
This guy goes into Fenway. I'm watching the start too. And against incredible hitting, a lot of lefties in the lineup. You're not supposed to be able to burn fastballs by these Red Sox hitters right now when they are red hot in Fenway. And he is letting it eat. He's not afraid to go to the fastball. He's throwing the fastball almost every single pitch and saying, Rafael Devers, I dare you to hit it. That's a dude with nuts. And not only with nuts, he knows it's playing at the top of the zone, blowing doors off guys.
Yeah.
And then he works around with a cutter, changeup, and slider, and like these pitches work. There's a reason Jordan Montgomery is now in the bullpen because they want to keep him in here. And Brandon Pfaadt's coming off not that great of a start. We'll see what Erod gives us. We're recording on Wednesday for Thursday. We'll see what Erod does against the Mets. Gallen's coming off a good start, little inconsistent. Kelly coming back. I've said this a million times already. Kelly coming back, little inconsistent. Nelson's been the guy.
Yeah.
Wildly fascinating to see a guy just get so much life when he already was a fastball dominant guy who already wasn't afraid to throw you fastballs when it wasn't even working. And now it's working. And he's saying, try. I dare you to hit the fastball. Let it eat. He's the biggest let it eat guy right now.
He's absolutely ripping it. And the thing that jumps out to me, you mentioned top of the zone. Like vert is always going to play at the top of the zone. Induced vertical break is always going to play when you go upstairs with that. But the thing that I think gets lost when it comes to a good four-seam fastball like that is it can play at the knees too.
Oh, yeah.
And it plays in a different way where you get whiffs under pitches upstairs, right? Gravity does not play as much of a factor as you typically think with a cookie cutter fastball, and you get whiffs under. At the knees, when you go fastball low, you'll get a lot more takes.
Yep.
Because hitters subconsciously think that gravity is going to play, and that's going to end up shin high or ankle high, and it ends up knee high, clipping the bottom of the zone. And he has been so good at that with an overhead delivery working straight down and that thing is just spinning its way to the knees, to the exact bottom of the zone. And it is an aesthetically beautiful fastball when it's at the bottom of the zone.
And I will say, I haven't checked this exactly, so I could be wrong here. It's just from my experience watching him over his last couple of starts. It says he averages 95.1. I feel like I never see 95. It's like always 97. Could
You
be
always see
wrong.
more.
Again, I just feel like the velocity in the second half, and again, I would have to fact check this. Maybe someone in the YouTube comments can. In the second half, if we wanted to look at his velocity, I think it's up. I'm seeing consistent 97s, 96, 97, when he averages 95, which means the totality of his fastballs, there's a lot of 93s and 94s in there. But I'm saying lately, 96, 97 with 20. Yeah, we'll take that. Oh, we'll take that every day of the week.
Yeah.
All right. So my last starter, because we both had 3 and then 4, and then we have a reliever.
Yep.
I cheated. I have 2. But it's kind of because there's not many adjustments here. It's just these guys are professionals. They're veterans. You thought they were really bad in the first half. You were right. They've been better in the second half. Wanted to bring them both up because they're both on the same team. Kevin Gausman, Jose Berrios. Gausman and Berrios. Gausman 4.50 ERA in the first half. Remember, he was leaving fastballs middle. He didn't really have much command of the splitter. It wasn't great. Talks about trading him. Teams buying low. Remember that conversation? 3.23 ERA in the second half has looked so much more like the Kevin Gausman that we know, that we've seen be an ace. I don't even want to call him borderline because when he's on, he's an ace. He's been looking a lot like that in the second half. So good to see. Same thing with Berrios. Not as drastic, but has been better in the second half than Gausman. 4.01 ERA in the first half. Just didn't look great. 2.98 in the second half. And with Berrios, the underlying metrics are still not good. He doesn't look like the same guy that he did, but he's seeing a lot better production. When on the Gausman side, he's just looking more like he should. Berrios is getting better results in the second half. So I know we only have, you were going to give one. I wanted to bring them both in, not big adjustments, but just have been much better in the second half. And it's good to see. Like, don't give up on Gausman next year is what I'm bringing up. Berrios, we're going to have to look a little bit more into, but Gausman, I still think is the man.
Jays are also just red hot.
Yeah.
Like it's very funny that they decided to keep their great stretch for after they decided to pack it in and sell. And they didn't really sell too much.
So here's my thing about Blue Jays Twitter right now. I'm going to shout out my guy, Johnny Junta. Love those guys over at Gate 14.
So funny.
Blue Jays Twitter is fantastic. I mean, they're so funny. The memes they make, they're great. And I've seen a lot of them. They're fully bought into now this resurgence. Like, get up over 500, like compete for a playoffs, and they're having fun. And I get it. Like, don't take that away. Me personally as a fan, if the season is going wrong, I want it to kind of keep going wrong if we're out of it. Because I want to get the better draft pick. Like, that's what I would want for the future of my team. I don't think that fighting in August and September to get up to 500, like, is worth it. Personally.
Yeah, but I think it's funny, and I think they're leaning into it because
fun.
It's funny.
Good for them.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it does seem like an entire community is doing this. And I'm like,
but
okay,
now counterpoint. Did you want Vladdy to just like lay down for the last 6 weeks?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm just saying, if I was them, I would want to see who I have, who are moving on with next year. Yeah. And I would want to see all of the good things from Vladdy and still lose. As a fan. Now, that's me personally. I'm the same in the NFL with my Rams. If we're not going to the playoffs, I want us to get the number 1 overall pick and be terrible. Like, I hate purgatory as a fan. That is my least favorite thing in sports.
Purgatory. I understand. I understand fully. Having said that, you can't always get everything that you want.
I understand.
And I think what the Blue Jays are seeing now during this hot stretch is they're seeing what they can look like moving forward. Like, you've got Alo Perfito playing, and you've got a Varsho playing pretty well, and you've got Vladdy standing on his head.
Vladdy's been have all of these. We talked about him yesterday. Just unbelievable.
Yeah, man. Like, you have all of these things happening for you. And, you know, like, I think it's good to see what you have in the future. You don't have to lose when you see the good things happening in the future. And when you lose, chances are you're not seeing the best of what's going to happen down the line, right? oh, we get a glimpse into the future, but we've lost, 10 of 14. Okay, well, chances are like those guys that are showing you a glimpse of the future, they're only doing something like twice a week if you guys are losing that much.
Yeah.
You want to see a young core win a little bit. And that's what this new look Jays team is doing. They're winning a little bit. So they're providing optimism. Providing optimism and losing a bunch, that's a really fine line to toe. Really fine line.
You're totally right, too, because we're not living in a fairy tale world where I really want to see Addison Barger and Vladdy and Lo Perfido and Horowitz and all these young guys play really well.
You want to see
And
them
then the
all be good.
bullpen, and then they lose all of those games. Like that can't both happen, Peter. Like,
Yeah.
that cannot happen. So, and for their confidence moving into next year, like playing well in these sort of games give you that launching point. So when you hit April of next year, you're ready to hit the ground running instead of, oh, well, we had our young core and we kept losing all these games. How do we feel going into next year? Arm brought that up about the Pirates, and I thought it was a really good point. Like winning in September may not mean a lot for the fans, but for the players' confidence, it'll make a lot of sense. And then if the fans are having fun, the fans are having fun. I just wanted to bring up the point where it was about the fight back to 500, less about finding the core. And in my personal opinion, I have a huge, huge dislike for purgatory. So that's where I'm coming at you as a fan. But Jack is totally right. You're all totally right to have as much fun as you can.
Yeah.
Watch them win baseball. It's way more fun. So I'm removing myself, just letting you know my personality as a fan.
It's so much more fun to be like, oh, nice, we won, instead of we won. But is that the best for our situation in the macro?
Look at Addison Barger's launch angle and exit velocity on that ball. Like, that's going to fall one day. No, we want it to fall now.
We lost 8-1, but Addison Barger had 3 balls at 105. They were all lineouts to center.
Here's what it would be perfect if I was a Blue Jays fan. I want my offense to put up 6 runs a game. I want my starters to continue to dominate. And I want all the bullpen guys that I hate to keep blowing the games. Like, just have so many extra inning, 9th inning blow ups. So we technically did lose the game, but you see everything that's going well. So is that okay, Blue Jays fans, or does that sound like a fucking nightmare? Because that could also be an absolute nightmare.
So can I ask you, as somebody that grew up a Yankees fan and you like never really needed to glimpse into the future?
Okay, but to be fair, I've been a Knicks fan the whole time too, and we've sucked forever.
Okay, but you wanted like, oh, who was it? Quentin Grimes. You wanted Quentin Grimes to just ball in the 4th quarter down 30. It's like, oh, Grimes time. Let's go.
Yeah.
You were interested in that?
I wanted the number 1 overall pick every year, just until we could be good again.
Deuce McBride. Who else, man? Who else have been those like end of the bench Knicks guys that get in when you're down 25 in the 4th? It's like, oh, time
let's not
to
get into the Knicks bench. Let's keep going on pitches, but it is that kind of mode where I want to be horrible or amazing, and that's it.
Got it. Yeah, I'm interested in having a good time, and it seems like Blue Jays fans overall this year, when you look at it in the macro, they're not having a good time. But right now, seems like they're enjoying themselves a little bit, and that's what I like seeing.
And they should be. If they're happy, I'm happy. I just want baseball fans to be happy.
One more starter from me is a rookie left-hander in Washington, DJ Herz. Mm-hmm. Mitchell Parker has gone the other way. Parker was really good and has been really not good recently. Yeah. DJ Herz had a couple of really bad blow-ups in the first half that made the first half look not great. 7 starts before the All-Star break, his first 7 starts in the big leagues. A 5.17 ERA, 31 1/3, 6 homers, 41 punch-outs, 9 walks. 7 starts post All-Star break, 34 1/3, a 2.62 ERA, 4 homers against him, 42 Ks, 15 walks. So you say, hey, the innings totals, the home runs allowed, the strikeouts, they're all pretty equivalent. He's actually walked 6 more guys in the second half than he did in the first half. What's changed? Well, he's not living in the heart of the strike zone anymore. It's okay that he's walked 6 more guys, but opponents hit 271 against him in the first half. They're hitting a $197 against him in the second half. The stuff has never been the problem. DJ Herz, when you look at a year by year throughout the minor leagues, opponents never barreled him up. Like, you never see a clip over 230-ish. And then he gets to the show and, big leaguers are hitting 270. It's like, oh, if big leaguers are hitting 270 against him, he cannot survive. The fact that we have seen a 7-start sample where opponents are hitting under 200 against him tells you that what he was doing in the minor leagues can, in some form or fashion, translate to the big leagues. And that's really important for the long-term outlook of DJ Herz, who was one of the 2 guys that came back in the Candelario deal last year. And Candelario was newfound riches. It was DJ Herz and then Kevin Made. Made, throw in. I don't know if that guy's ever going to make the big leagues. But the fact that you found a legit major league back end of the rotation starter in that deal instead of so much reliever risk like you thought you were getting with DJ Herz, big W. Big.
And just to further your point, I think you might even be underselling him a little bit when you're talking about potential back of the rotation starter. Because what do we want our pitchers to do? We want them to limit hard contact, the best of their abilities. We'd prefer if it was on the ground. We want them to strike out a lot of guys, and we want them to limit the walks. That's all these underlying metrics: Sierra, expected ERA, fielding independent pitching, xFIP, which is expected fielding independent pitching. They're all around those levels. Now, some factor in quality of contact more, some, normalize home run rate like xFIP, but that's basically what these stats are trying to tell you. They're trying to take out the earned run aspect, because not every earned run, even though it's earned, is their fault.
Yeah.
And when we're looking at DJ Herz at 23 years old, number one, does he limit hard contact? Absolutely, he does. He's in the 76th percentile of hard hit rate, 35.6%. Does he keep the ball on the ground? Not really. But it's okay if you can strike a lot of people out.
Yep.
And DJ Herz has a 29.1% strikeout rate, which is in the 89th percentile of Major League Baseball. And you're talking about that 7-start sample. He was not very good. So these are total stats. These are not in the second half, where all of those metrics have ticked up. And then the walk rate is around league average, 42nd percentile, 8%. So he does a good job of limiting hard contact. He's getting a ton of strikeouts. And he's only 23. That's why we talk about guys differently.
Yeah.
The world is his oyster. If he can make developments, keep the ball on the ground a little bit more, limit the walks, this is a real pitcher.
That's never who he's gonna be, though. Level by level.
But I don't think that's fair to say to a 23-year-old.
But that's who he's been since he was 18, 19 when he got into pro ball.
That's like 4 years. Things can change.
I know. He's always been a fly ball oriented guy, but the thing is, you want to talk full year sample in his 14 starts. Opponents are hitting 234 against him. I mentioned the batting average against, man. This guy, 81 and 2/3 innings in 2021. Opponents hit a $157. 95 and a third in 22. Opponents hit a $170. 94 and a third in 23. Opponents hit a $196. And in 39 and a third minor league innings this year, opponents hit a $176. They never hit him for a high clip. Solo homers are probably going to be a problem for DJ Herz over the course of his career. Probably. They're a problem for a lot of good pitchers.
Yeah.
Solo homers are okay. Does it suck to allow a homer? Sure. Have him come with nobody on base.
Yeah.
If he can limit the 3-run home runs against him, I feel really solid about him being a back of the rotation starter.
So I think that even points more to the walk rate instead of the maybe ground ball rate. Let's say he never fixes that. Not every elite pitcher has a really low ground ball rate. That's fine. But if we can limit the walks here, because if you're not going to make hard contact against him, he's not going to allow a lot of hits. If then he's limiting the walks, then we will see some solo home runs, which will be okay. Because he can give up 2 solo home runs in a game and go 6 innings, and he's going 6 innings, 2 runs. Something like that. And then we're looking at a really good pitcher. So I'm very intrigued with this young arm. Underlying metrics, again, like him. And watching him, like he brings it. I like him.
He definitely does, man.
Yeah.
He's got a little bit of that electricity to him.
He does. It's almost like a Nelson thing. He's letting it eat.
Yeah, a little bit. Herz is like, I think, smaller in stature. Like Nelson's unorthodox. It's over the top, and it's a rocket.
No, yeah, the stuff is not exactly the same. But a guy who's 55% fastball at a 23-year-old, like
Yeah.
that's letting it eat. Like he ain't afraid
Yeah.
to throw you his fastball. And the reason I say letting it eat too is because he's not throwing 98. So it's like, well, no shit, you throw your fastball. It's 93 and a half. That's why I say he's letting it eat, and he trusts his stuff, which I love from a 23-year-old.
Yeah. Take us home with your reliever.
So my reliever, there was a lot of deep cut guys that I wanted to bring up. Tyler Holton of the Tigers has been so good in the second half, but he was pretty good in the first half. Like there was a lot of relievers who have been super, super good. They're deep cuts. I wanted to give them their credit, but they were pretty good in the first half.
Yeah.
This guy was not very good in the first half. We all know his name, a big layup. You know who I'm talking about? Going out west, but this time in the American League.
AL reliever, L West.
As soon as I say it, you'll get it.
Who is it?
Josh Hader.
Yeah, there you go.
Josh Hader. And you know what's funny? In the last exercise, I had 2 Astros. This exercise, I have 2 Astros again. It makes sense when you're one of the best teams post second half and you've overtaken the division. And there's a lot of guys who were struggling with the Astros and have now completely bounced back and look like themselves. And one of the most important guys to look like yourself is Josh Hader. 3.86 ERA in the first half. I feel like sometimes he didn't know where it was going, overcompensate, got to go middle. But now he's back to Josh Hader. And when you're back to Josh Hader, and when Brian Abreu's back, and they're getting contributions from other guys in their bullpen as well, which has ticked that unit up, rotation's improving. Offense, I think, is going to get back Kyle Tucker at some point. They just got back Jason Hayward. It was a shin contusion. I've been saying this the entire podcast, and you, Jack McMullen, have been shelving it off. Be like, is he fine yet?
No, he's not fine yet.
Like, what the hell is happening?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
That's not about him. It's about Hader. Again, not a huge adjustment. He knows where the ball is going now. And when he does, he's Josh Hader again. Just wanted to remind everyone, he's not some wash closer that the Astros just completely whiffed on. Had a tough first half, and it's just been a 1.65 ERA in the second half. He's back.
Yeah. Fair. I go to a guy that was really good in the first half. Like there were a couple of guys that I could have gone to here. I immediately looked at Rysel Iglesias because he's been so good in the second half, but he was really good in the first half too.
Is he allowed to run an earned run in the second half? I saw
No.
there's 3 relievers who haven't allowed an earned run in the second half. Tommy Kahnle of the Yankees, Rysel Iglesias of the Braves, and no shit, Emmanuel Clase of the Guardians.
Right. Rysel, 35 2/3 in the first half, 8 earned. In the second half, 17 1/3, 3 hits, no runs, 21 Ks, 1 walk. Think about that. 17 1/3, 3 hits, 1 walk.
Damn.
Opponents are hitting 0.56 against him. The whip in the second half is 0.23. But that's not my answer. I have 2 that I want to throw at you. And I'm saving my true answer for last. AJ Puck has been awesome in Miami and Arizona after the All-Star break. AJ Puck, pre-All-Star break, had a 4.73 in 40 innings. Now he started as a starter for 4 starts, 4 turns. Post All-Star break, 17 innings, 1 earned run, 26 Ks, and 3 walks.
Yeah, that'll play.
But my winner.
Oh, that's not your guy.
That's not my guy.
Ooh, you got it. Yeah, I saw the reliever side. You had a million choices. I had like 2.
Yeah. Well, you had a million choices in terms of starting pitchers.
True, I did.
When we say that a guy is a change of scenery candidate, we dream that it looks like this. Pre-All-Star break, 41 innings. This guy had a 5.05 ERA. He K'd 23, and opponents hit 2, or he walked, 23, and opponents hit 228. So again, 41 innings, a 5.05, 23 walks in 41 innings, and a 228 batting average against. 15 innings post All-Star break. 4 hits, 1 run is a 0.60 ERA. 20 Ks and just 4 walks. Opponents are hitting 0.85 against him.
Can I guess?
You know who it is.
Michael Kopech.
Dude, this is change of scenery 101.
Yeah.
Is it not?
This is the definition of it.
The concrete definition of it. It looks unhittable.
It does. It's
every time he's out there for the LA Dodgers. Every single time. Was he not interested when he was a White Sox? Maybe. I wouldn't blame him one bit. He was on the worst team of the modern era. And then he goes to a team where he's teammates with Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Like the list goes on. Will Smith, he's throwing to fucking Will Smith. This is just the worst situation of the best situation. And I've seen the photos of Miguel Vargas sitting in the White Sox dugout. He looks miserable. I don't blame him because he went from the best situation to the worst situation. This guy, he's just pitching like he's rejuvenated.
It can be pretty relaxing, right? It's the
I think
difference
so.
between staying at a Motel 6 where people are trying to break into your hotel room. You're going to be a little bit fidgety. But then they say, we have a hotel room at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Shout out BetMGM. Or the Four Seasons. Your next day at work from the Motel 6, you got no sleep. And you're trying to go to work and be respectful. You might shout out a little bit. You might talk down to somebody. You might be pretty annoyed. Traffic, bad from the Motel 6. Four Seasons is a beautiful 10-minute walk away. Gorgeous weather. Got a great cup of coffee in the morning.
You literally hung out with cucumbers on your eyes.
You're probably going to perform better at your job the next day. And that's what I feel like with Michael Kopech. It's not like it's not like the White Sox are making their players stay at a Motel 6. But throwing to Martin Maldonado versus Will Smith is probably a little bit different.
I don't know. Maldi has the intangibles, right?
Yeah, exactly. The defense behind you, probably a little bit different. The energy in the clubhouse, we want to go win, probably a little bit different. Definition of a change of scenery guy. And when you watch him, he's real good. That's all I got to say about him. Real good. Another guy, go turn on the TV and watch the Michael Kopech if you haven't already, which I assume you have because he's on the Dodgers and it's really fun.
No doubt, man. So my National League guys, Spencer Schwellenbach, Blake Snell, Ryne Nelson, DJ Herz, Michael Kopech.
Yeah,
your American League guys?
Hunter Brown, Pablo Lopez, Joey Estes, a combo of Gausman and Berrios, and Josh Hader. Who do you think wins a playoff series based on our two rotations?
Probably you. I would think you. Brown, Lopez, Gausman at the top.
Yeah, but I lose the Estes Herz game.
Do you? Like, that's not great.
I think I lose the Estes.
Like Brown, Schwellenbach, I take Brown. Lopez, Snell, I take Snell. Gausman, Ryne Nelson.
Ryne Nelson. No,
it's tough at this point. It's tough at this point.
But hopefully everybody enjoyed this episode. Again, the best way to support the Just Baseball show. Hit that like button on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. As well as rating 5 stars, whether it be on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Best way to support without spending a dime. If you're interested in spending a couple shekels, go check out our merch store. I'm rocking my Just Baseball hat. Jack's rocking nothing. Hates the company. Don't be like Jack. Go get yours in the episode description. Also, of course, we're going to be back on Friday. And game time, code Just Baseball, $20 off. BetMGM, code Just Baseball. First bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. For Jack McMullen, I'm Peter Appel. And like I said, of course, we're going to see you tomorrow. And with that, thank you, everybody.